On? Yeah. Hello?
Asked him if they can.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah. Hello, this sounds audible. Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Hey guys, I see a few mics on mute. We're gonna start in a few seconds, so just let me know if you can hear me or not.
Okay, I can hear you.
They should keep the mic on mute.
Yeah, we can hear you. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. So I'll start this webinar, and basically we'll open it up for questions towards the end. I'll just do a quick round of introductions to the team. My name is Ghaith Abdurrahman from Dubai Future Foundation and Area 2071. And Puneet from PNG, who's the program sponsor. PNG and Area 2071 are partners on this project. I'll tell you a little bit more about this as I go through the presentation. Puneet, just wanted to make sure that you're with us and you can hear me. Puneet? Sorry guys, just 1 second. Okay, perfect. Puneet is with us. Okay, so I'll go quickly through the presentation. It will basically take us through Area 2071, PNG's iDubai lab within Area 2071, just so you guys have a bit more context. And we'll go through the challenge, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A to ourselves and Puneet. But I can imagine most of the questions will be directed at Puneet, so Puneet, be prepared. Okay, guys, so I'll take you quickly through the intro. Again, we'll talk a bit about Area, about PNG and the iDubai lab, the challenge application and deadline process, and then we're going to Q&A. Just bear with me for a second. Okay. All right, so Area 2071 is basically an initiative by Dubai Future Foundation. Area 2071 is an experimentation space between governments, multinationals, and startups. The ultimate aim of Area is to start producing innovations that are coming out of the MENA region rather than us becoming net consumers of innovation. We do this by attracting very specific innovation arms from the private sector and the government. From the government side, we have most of the innovation practices and initiatives getting funneled through the Dubai 10X project, which aims at positioning Dubai 10 years ahead of any other city by leveraging emerging technology and disruptive tech. To change the sector of the government entities such as energy, mobility, and Dubai Future Accelerators is looking at how do we start integrating emerging tech into more short-term horizon projects that have a scale of 1 to 2 years. So these two programs are the flagship programs that we have between Dubai Future Foundation and Area 2071 and the Dubai government entities. And from the private sector, we have the likes of the iDubai lab from PNG, which is looking at the future of FMCG in emerging markets, which is a massive mandate since the biggest markets are there at the moment, as well as X labs such as the aviation lab, which is a joint venture between Emirates Airlines, GE, Collins Aerospace, Thales, and Airbus. And these guys are looking at disruptive tech and business models for aviation. Huge mandates, huge demand for innovation, and a few other labs from the private sector, from the likes of Pfizer, DP World, and a few others. So ultimately, we become a massive ecosystem in Dubai that looks at how do we integrate entrepreneurs and innovation from startups and emerging tech within the works of private sector and government that are looking to change themselves and their sectors. So that's enough about that. I think I spoke a little bit too much about it. But again, we're inspired by His Highness's quote that basically says, the future belongs to those who can imagine it, design it, and execute it. We are in the process of designing it, and with our partners such as P&G, executing that mandate. So like I said, ultimately, we are a facilitation ecosystem between startups and scale-ups and government and private sector in Dubai. And as part of this challenge, we want to basically bring shortlisted applicants to Dubai to meet the Area 2071 team and P&G teams before deploying the solution in the target market of P&G. Before we wanted to get more into this challenge, we wanted to give the opportunity to you guys to have an idea, a little bit more about what the challenge is talking about, the targets, a little bit more about also the selection process, what happens when you get selected. And that's why we've invited P&G to be part of it. The travel and accommodation is covered up to 3 full-time team members of the selected startup. Area 2071 does not take any equity in any startup in any of our programs, including the ones we have with the private sector. However, your engagement, your commercial engagement with P&G could develop into equity, could develop into investment. To be honest, that's up to you. That's up to the discretion of yourselves and P&G. But from our end, we don't take any equity. So what happens in the visit, during the visit in Dubai? You basically get access to a very, very large network of private sector multinationals and government entities, as well as startups that we've incubated within the space. It's a very exciting space in a landmark building in Dubai, Emirates Towers, for those of you who don't know Dubai very well. And we're situated very comfortably in the heart of government. It's where we have the AI minister, the Minister of Food Security, and all these really cool positions that we've launched recently as part of the UAE government. And obviously, once you're here, you have a chance to be exposed to the wider work that P&G is doing with its go-to-market innovation and emerging markets. Again, like I said, we're located in Emirates Towers. There are these 2 buildings right there. One of them is a hotel building. The other one is an office tower. We are at the boulevard right at the bottom. And like I said, you'll be able to join a wide community of private sector and government entities. P&G and the iDubai Lab, I'll leave that to Puneet to talk a little bit more about that and about the challenge. Puneet, the slide is all yours. Please go ahead.
Hi. Good morning, good afternoon. Guys, just confirm if you can hear me, please.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Puneet and I lead our iDubai Lab for Procter & Gamble. Been with the company for 12.5 years and originally from India. So a short introduction. So what's iDubai, right? So Procter & Gamble is, as you know, a massive FMCG company. And for us, a key part of our strategy is to have what we call superior go-to-market. So P&G has 5, let's say them strategic vectors of superiority, and one of them is superior go-to-market. Now, what's go-to-market? Go-to-market is a chassis by which a company like ours gets its products to the end consumer. So P&G, of course, manufactures products in its factories, but then how do those products reach the end consumer? And that's where go-to-market comes in. Now, the iDubai Lab is one of 6 go-to-market innovation centers. So anything which is to do with revolutionizing or step-changing the world of go-to-market innovation happens in these innovation centers. So we have 6 of them. As I already said, the first one is in Cincinnati. So Procter & Gamble's global headquarters are in Cincinnati. We are a US-based company. Then we have these innovation centers in Mexico City, one in Europe, in Geneva, one in Singapore, in the Asia-Pacific region. We have one in China, and then we have the latest one, the youngest one in Dubai, which only started in April. So it's almost like one per continent or major geographical area. And these innovation centers are meant to basically deliver 2 purposes. One is they are places where our customers, so customers for PNG are retailers and distributors. So think Walmart, Tesco, Carrefour, the likes of them come and partner with us. And the second one is activities like this, which we are doing today. So with our partners in 2071 and other partners around the world, what can PNG do differently to improve the way in which its products reach more customers, more parts of the world, and so on? Because that's frankly PNG's vision. So that's what is the core of this challenge, and many more to come. And that's what we are trying to do. PNG has a significant presence in the Middle East, and this innovation center doesn't just cater to the Middle East, it also caters to any and all emerging markets. So it's extending all the way from Latin America to African continent to the Middle East, and then of course Indian subcontinent, and parts of Asia Pacific. So think emerging markets, think what is classically been called third world. So it caters to those kind of markets. Now, this particular challenge, right, as the slide refers to, is the microcredit challenge. Now, I have talked about it a bit as well during the videos, which are there on the Startup Challenge page. And net, what are we trying to do? So PNG is covering almost 4 million retailers via its distribution network. And these retailers are typical for mom and pop stores, your high frequency stores, your neighborhood stores, what may you call it. And net, a big challenge for these retailers is cash and the lack of it, because traditional financial institutions typically don't offer them any credit, and nor does PNG's distributor network. So PNG doesn't go to these stores directly. A PNG headcount can't cover this. We cover it by our distributor network. And our distributors are typically big companies in themselves, and hence they require similar kind of financial security, which these small retailers can't really provide. And I am happy to answer questions on who exactly this small retailer, but think there are 4 million of them in the region, so there are a lot of them. This is your classical neighborhood store. And net, what PNG is looking for a solution is which helps us do the same. So I've called it the microcredit challenge, but we are basically looking for solutions that help facilitate this small retailer to prove or build financial credibility, so that financial institution or PNG's distributors or anyone can offer them credit. Credit is a big business driver. If these people get credit, our business almost increases 30 to 40%, if not more. So it's a big business driver for us. It's a massive challenge for us. We are very serious about it. And Gareth has already talked about what's in it for you all. So from PNG side, it's a massive strategic problem for us, right from Cincinnati. It is an imperative for us to solve this, and that's what I'm excitedly looking forward to hear from you all. So very short, that's what it is. And Gareth, open for questions, open to talk anything else as well.
Okay, thanks, Puneet. Guys, just quickly on the selection process before we jump to the questions. So obviously the first thing is, as soon as you apply to the challenge, the link at the end of the presentation will take you to our challenge platform, where you can create your profile and start applying to the challenge. The first stage is a written application where we evaluate your written application, and then it's going to be a phone interview with the team from PNG and ourselves. And then stage 3, basically you get selected. You select the team that's going to come, or the team members that are going to be here. And basically the application process will find 3 to 5 finalist companies. That's up to the discretion of PNG. And then, sorry, one second. Yeah, and then the onboarding of the selected companies. So we'll notify you if you get selected, and then we'll finalize your visa and flights and accommodation up to 3 full-time members. And then you'll be here for a short period of time before the final deployment with PNG in the target market that they have. That's it from our end. Happy to take your questions.
And then you just write your name and then.
Yeah, if you could please type your name in the group chat with your question, and then we'll go through them one by one. Okay. So just the first question that I got about the pitch deck. Yes, we can share the pitch deck with you after the call.
Will also be uploaded on YouTube.
Yeah, and the webinar itself will be uploaded on YouTube because it's recorded at the moment, so you can have a look at it later. Okay, we have Dave Watson. You're asking about the distributors being exclusive. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so I think what he's asking is, are PNG distributors catering to only PNG? The answer is 90% cases yes. If they are not exclusive to PNG, they are exclusive to FMCG for PNG. So they might have, for example, a telecommunication business as well, but in FMCG, they would be exclusive to PNG.
Thanks for that, Puneet. The other one, sorry, I can't pronounce the name. This is Open Financial Technology. What is the priority of PNG's target market?
Okay, I'll start taking them. So the priority for PNG's target markets is, so the technology should be something which is usable across our region. So as I said, emerging markets, I gave you a pretty wide scope. So it's one of the success criteria in that it should be plug and play. It shouldn't be market specific, but if you want to really push me on where it should, which are really priority markets, it's markets which have a lot of stores. So think Indian subcontinent, think North Africa, markets like Egypt, and also think markets like Philippines, Indonesia, etc. But we are basically talking about a solution which should be ideally be able to play everywhere.
Okay, next one.
He's going to start taking. Okay. The other one is, what are the timeframes, deadlines for delivery of the final product?
Okay. From our side, I think the first deadline is for us to hear your idea, as Gareth talked. And I would encourage you to keep yourself focused on that one. And then the beauty of a company like ours is if we like the idea, we can ensure that it moves really, really fast. We have the resources and the wherewithal to do it. So on that one, I would leave it open-ended, but it all depends on the quality of your idea. So if we love it, there is a strong business case within us. We are not looking at it as a 2021 project. We would want to eat the idea that we cook pretty fast. So sorry for not giving a close-ended answer, but that's as much as I can tell you, Amir.
Okay, and are you accepting projects that are at minimum viable product level?
If I understand it as, can you help me understand? So I'm not from this field. I am a sales guy in an FMCG company. So minimum viable product. Yeah.
So basically, perhaps not much deployment in the market, not a lot of market traction, maybe not even proven that much yet. But Louise, if you can elaborate on where your specific MVP is, that could be a lot more helpful.
What I would say is we are happy to even look at MVPs, if that's what an MVP is, from what I understood from Gareth. But then the idea has to be really strong, because proof is also important for us a little. As you have the success criteria as part of the startup challenge, but again, it's not a no. So if the idea is strong, happy to have a look at it as well.
Okay, Louise, hope that's enough info for you. Another one is the question is around PNG bearing the cost of the short credit or some financial institution to do so.
The answer is yes and no. So it depends on your idea, right? So ideally, our distributors are the ones who offer credit, and the solutions to that problem can be two-pronged, right? One is your product could be something that helps improve, as far as I think about it. So your product could help improve the financial credibility or help the retailer establish their financial credibility so that anybody can offer them credit. Or your solution could be a fintech solution which offers the credit directly. So in the case of the first one, where financial credibility of the retailer is established, because that's actually the biggest problem. These retailers mix their personal and business finances. They are really small retailers who buy, frankly, $20 of P&G products. So in those cases, financial credibility is the biggest challenge, and our distributors would be happy to offer them credit if the credibility was proven. So in that case, answer is yes, but not P&G, but our distributors or another financial institution. So answer is yes and no. Depending on his solution. But P&G is not the one who typically offers credit. We are not in the business of providing credit. Our distributors do that.
Okay. Guys, just a few questions around the timeline of the entire challenge, the eligibility criteria. We'll send the link to everybody will take you to the landing page that has all the criteria, the background, the context, a little bit more about the challenge. So I'll send that at the end of the chat as well, including the pitch deck. Jumping on the next one. So we had a follow-up question from Amr regarding the, sorry, 1 second. Around, 1 second. Yeah, are you accepting the project that only has MVP or only at existing solutions? Amr, and Puneet, correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, definitely the preference would be existing solutions that have market traction and have been proven. These are definitely the ones that P&G will be looking for. Puneet, another one for you is the scope only for providing the credibility score or as well as managing the finance flow for the microcredit from retailers to distributors to P&G?
So if your solution is exhaustive, the better for you. So credibility score is important. As I was just saying, that's one of the ways by which to solve it. So it is an essential ingredient. But again, the more complete your solution is, the better is it in terms of acceptance propensity.
Okay. And as mini-grid developer in Kenya engaged in PUE with entrepreneurs are eligible, and where do we fall in this?
I don't understand this one.
Benedict, can you explain a little bit more? If you can unmute your mic and talk a bit more about your question. Benedict, are you with us? Okay, we'll wait for Benedict. Another question is, piloting this project, where would it be?
Sorry for this MBA kind of answer. Depends, right? So if you're a company who's ideally, we would want to do it in the market where the solution has been tested already. So that would be a lead market because it just helps it do that. But again, depends, right? So if your solution is from a very small country where we don't believe that there is enough juice for it to be tested, we will transfer the technology and test it in somewhere. But definitely we would want to pilot this first. And where is lead option, where you are already located, assuming that country has a sizable number of stores, because otherwise there is no point. Yeah, that's what.
If I can add to that, Puneet, maybe I'll add to Amir's question a little bit. Could we potentially take a solution that exists in one market, and then maybe P&G could take it and put it in the target market, or deploy it in a different market?
Yes, in fact, one of the key success criteria, and I was mentioning it right at the start, is that this idea should be scalable and transferable. That's essential. It's part of the success criteria because end of the day, we would want it to run across markets.
Okay. Another question is there interest from P&G to measure their CSR as well as their value chain? Basically, would this fall under a CSR agenda as much as it's around go-to-market innovation?
Not as much. So it business, frankly, business comes first in this particular case. We haven't really looked at commercializing the CSR part of it, but CSR is there as a focus agenda, but it's more from a commercial point of view. And I don't understand smart contract area. I can also see the question from Brian. So.
I think they're talking about blockchain contracts or blockchain-based contracts.
Again, open to any kind of financial technology. We don't have any constraint there. We are coming from it strategically and high level. We have a problem, happy to look at any solution, as long as it meets the criterion which we have outlined.
Okay, but I think what the question is trying to allude to is, does P&G already have something around smart contracts within the way that within P&G? So basically, any blockchain initiatives, any blockchain projects that you currently have, and how would this integrate with it?
We do have blockchain-based projects, but they are more in data analytics and consumer PII, which is basically think of end consumer, so you as a user of our products. Those kind of projects we do have already kicked off in blockchain, but this is in a different space. So at this point in time, we do have a lot of blockchain-based projects, but this space doesn't have it. So go to market as of now, no, but in the future, yes, probably.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Puneet. Another question is about the average ticket size of the retailer's monthly business volume.
So the average ticket size, I mentioned $15 to $20. US dollars.
Okay. And another question is, what are the key bottlenecks at this moment that you're looking to be addressed using technology? And how do you deal with credit risk assessment at this moment?
So bottleneck, the biggest bottleneck I already mentioned to you, which is we do not have a way of assessing the credit risk. So mostly what ends up happening is retailers below a certain threshold of monthly volume do not get credit. That's the simple heuristic used by our distributors. So they don't offer credit to a retailer if its business size is below a certain volume. Yeah, frankly, that's why we need a proper solution. And in certain markets, it's basically because there's a distributor salesperson who is visiting these stores 2 to 4 times a month. It is left to the salesperson's judgment because he is quite experienced. He has been visiting these stores from anywhere between 2 to 10 years. He knows the territory. He knows the people. He uses his judgment. But again, it is not data-based, but it's more relationship-based or human capital-based versus the decisions are done. So from a corporate direction point of view, and that was the discussion we also had in our workshop, it's basically left to, and that's not just for P&G, that's across industry. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one from Amr, he's killing the questions today. Is the UAE one of your target markets, or maybe as a test market in the beginning or a pilot before rolling it out to other regions or market?
So UAE, look, I was describing one of the things is for this problem to actually happen, you need to have a lot of stores. Now, UAE's trade landscape is mainly, if you think about it, UAE has a lot of what we call modern trade. So UAE has your Carrefours and Union Corps and Lulus, etc. And then you have a lot of supermarkets, and then you have your mom and pop stores. So UAE doesn't have A, lot of stores, and B, those stores are usually big. Okay, so this kind of challenge of $15 to $20 of monthly throughput of PNGs. By the way, the $15 to $20 was PNG ticket size, and not total ticket size. Okay, there was PNG business in these stores. Now, so that doesn't make UAE one of its really target markets. However, that said, for pilot, we are happy to do it in any market. Now, if the circumstances are such that the test lends itself to that your idea is the best and the test lends itself to UAE the fastest, happy to try it out in certain parts of, say, Northern Emirates, etc.
Okay.
And I'm based in Dubai, so I know this.
Okay. Microcredit is a very high level understanding. Have you documented the requirements in more details? So I guess he's talking about the microcredit issue. And what is there something a bit more detailed that PNG has as a response to that?
I have been as detailed as it's possible for us in our brief and the material we have posted in the challenge. In terms of what we are looking for, I don't want to reiterate what I've just talked already. So that's as much detail as we can provide at this point.
Especially if it's already tested. And this is actually a good question. Who would own the IP of the product?
So Gaith, you mentioned right at the start the angle around the fact that you don't take any equity.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave PNG's approach at this point in time open-ended. We have done these kind of collaborations with startups around the world on different areas. If you really like an idea, anything can happen. So I would just leave it at that point in time. And we will see it as we see the ideas. So at this point in time, on the intellectual property of the product, if you are going to be doing a pilot jointly with us, we will come to it at that particular stage. But what I can offer on this one is, on this particular question, what I can offer is more clarity as we get closer to the shortlist of options, because we are also going by it as we see your responses.
Okay, Puneet keeping it close to the chest. Okay, what is the objective of the meeting trip to Dubai?
Gaith, you want to take that one? Like, so that trip to.
So I guess, and how long is expected to last? I mean, look, it really depends on a lot of the questions are all the questions are really great. Some of them pertaining to what happens after the selection process, around the pilot, around the context of the pilot or the existing solution. That would really depend on where the solution is at the moment, given market maturity, given how much traction you've been having, and that will decide, for example, things like how long do you need to spend in Dubai, because your trip to Dubai will be basically primed at getting to know the PNG team better, for them to understand you better as a team, as a company, as a solution, before the deployment, so you can agree how you would do it. Now, to give you guys context as well, your solution will be part of a much bigger value chain that PNG and us and ourselves are building in the background. So there could be third parties, there could be other partners as well involved in the grander solution. So your visit to Dubai will help shed more light onto that. And it could be anywhere between a few days to a week. It really depends on the discussions that we have as we finalize the selection process. Okay. Another one from India. We are an India-based fintech startup, and we are trying to solve a very similar problem here, but mainly in personal finance space. Can this solution be part or an extension of our existing product? We already have a credit supply for the retailers.
Very good question. Answer is yes, because In a way, these retailers are individual entities only, and they do mix personal and business finance. So yeah, yes.
Okay. And how are you validating your supply chain in terms of identity management in order to prevent fraud? And do you work with government open APIs to integrate into existing systems?
Okay. I kind of answered one when I was talking about how we are
Yeah.
validating existing credit.
Yeah.
So it's relationship based or is it cutoff? With government APIs, we haven't worked ever. I see I'm also on the question bank, so I can see there is questions around intellectual property, and
We've answered that.
so
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, I'm saying we've answered the IP question.
Yeah, I get that, and yeah.
Okay. So if you have an existing product, the issue of IP is extremely important and it places business at risk if this is not resolved at the beginning. Therefore, saying it is open-ended would restrict any business from engaging in the project. Brian, if I may jump into this, Puneet, it really depends on your initial discussions with P&G. And as you go through the application process, we get to understand the solution better. Then we could talk about the IP being shared, being co-owned, being reserved by you guys. What we're trying to say upfront is that there's no restriction on IP and it's quite open. So it depends on where your solution is at the moment in terms of maturity. What kind of engagement does P&G want to have with you? But we can't decide on that upfront now until we understand the solution better. We have a bit of history about the solution, understand where it's been deployed, what have been some of the obstacles, where's some of the impact been. So I think that gets resolved and answered during the application process. Does that help? Brian?
Also, yeah, let me add a little bit. Like in terms of, so P&G is, as a company, goes by the book in everything, okay? So on this one, be rest assured that as we move forward, we will ensure that all the right regulatory and legal things are taken care of. More us than you. So that's what I would say.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Brian, yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for clarifying that. I think you always have to make sure that these issues are transparent at the very beginning. Within terms of our product, we work with some very large multinationals such as Rolls-Royce and Bentley, and businesses within the manufacturing space. So protecting our IP is of paramount importance to us as a business. So I think you clarified that in terms of obviously if we need to expand our product into another area, then there is an issue then of how you look after IP that's been generated other than what's already existing. So I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. Okay. Is there a defined list of use case, user stories, scenarios, or are you open for recommendations and suggestions?
I'm trying to completely understand the question.
Yeah. Same.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't get this one. Like, what exactly are we looking for?
Could you elaborate more, please?
They define use cases. How it's going to work.
Okay, Puneet, maybe what it means, have you identified a few use cases, perhaps high potential shops that you have on your radar already, or is that something that still needs to be done?
So as I said, in terms of target markets, which we are looking at, or target retailers, it's pretty open-ended. Okay, we want this to be applicable across markets. So in terms of stores or look, we're talking millions of stores as final potential use case scenarios. Pilots will be minimum thousands of stores, because for a product which can go into millions, you have to test it in thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. So the answer is no. We don't have a list of stores or use cases which we want to target at this point in time.
Okay. Last question, I'm assuming. Will P&G help us get the initial retailers for the MVP validation, assuming rest of things like credit assessment, credit supply, and tech part is sorted?
Yes. When we do the pilot, we will help you do that. Yes.
Okay. Guys, these are the questions. Okay, another one from Amr. Do you want us to develop the solution, the tech side only, or do you expect us to implement it too?
Okay. Again, answer is depends, as we were also having this conversation with Brian. It depends on what kind of solution do you have or what kind of company you are. If you have implementation capabilities, happy to talk it, but again, we are talking about implementation from New Zealand to Morocco, if not farther. Okay, so again, depends on what kind of company you are, but we definitely need the solution from you. And in terms of implementations, it again depends on the kind of company you are. And are we going to drive or mandate this to retailers? Mandate, no, but we're definitely going to drive it. Because again, this is a solution which P&G is going to offer to them. So yeah.
Okay. Guys, any more questions?
The mandate for retailers?
He's answered it. The solution must be exclusive for P&G. In this case, I'm assuming yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely yes. And happy to have a conversation if it is with a non-compete industry. But if it is somebody in FMCG, then definitely no. So.
Yeah, so basically no Unilever, guys. Okay, another one from Brian. In terms of stakeholder engagement, do you envisage some supply chain interactions into the design?
Tell me a little bit more. What exactly in terms of supply chain? Do you mean right from the factory into the retailer, or what kind of stakeholders are you talking about? Tell me a little bit more so that I can answer it versus giving the same answers I have already given.
So in terms of work that we've done previously, we've always found benefit in terms of, looking at the whole ecosystem that sits below the business architecture that you want to develop here. So what we try to do is utilizing things like nudge theory. We try to get stakeholder engagement right through the whole value chain, so that those organizations who are interacting with the system, are confident of using the system, because they've had some input into how that it's designed, not just for P&G, but also for the supply chain below it.
So again, anything that helps the adoption of the solution better, or in general the solution better, happy to consider that. But at this point in time, you have already seen me talk about it, you've seen our material. We are coming high level into it down, so we might learn some things as we go along. And again, P&G is trying, as I already said, the purpose of this center is go to market innovation. Okay, so we are happy to look at new ways of doing what we already are. So that's all I can tell now.
Okay. Is there a possibility of first loss default guarantee model to start with to build the initial trust from the lenders?
I don't get you described the acronym for me, Gareth, but I still don't get that because I'm seeing it for the first time.
I think the question is around hedging the risk with the financial institution or the vehicle or the model that's going to provide the initial credit line. So basically, it's a way to guarantee or to hedge the initial loss or potential loss, to make it more appetizing for the startup itself, but also for the financial institution.
We would be piloting it jointly with you. Okay, so yes, answer is in terms of pilot, we will ensure that all bets are hedged because it's applicable for us as well.
Okay, guys, any more questions? NDAs, yes, NDAs will be in place. Is P&G, do they want to include banks in the financial lending based on credit score for retailers, or P&G to close the loop on retailers and distributors?
Now again, answer is no, we don't want to, as in it's not a requirement. But if having a credible financial classical institution, which is banks, part of your solution, that's not a problem. So we don't want to own it end to end. So we don't want to close the loop. But again, it depends on your solution. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any more questions, guys? Okay, guess that's it.
I think.
All right, just bear with me for a sec. Okay, so the application deadline is January 30th. And the link at the bottom will basically take you to the landing page. And from the landing page, you can start applying to the challenge. If there aren't any more questions, guys, we'll close the webinar for now. And yes, I'll type that. Let me just copy that from the presentation. If there aren't any more questions, we'll go ahead and close the webinar. If you know anybody else who is who's eligible for this, or who could add any value to the challenge or can apply, please ask them to apply. The podcast will obviously be provided on YouTube, I'm assuming, yeah, YouTube. And sorry, one second. Where's the? Can I change this?
I'm sending it over my email, by the way. I click on the blue.
That's what I'm trying.
Go to everyone. Yeah. Everyone.
Oh,
Right.
there you go. All right, guys, sending the link now.
It seems there are a couple more questions.
Okay, one sec. All right, so the link to the landing page and the application page is there. Whom should we be in touch? So basically, the Area 2071 team and the P&G team will be in touch with you at different stages of the application process. The deadline, yes, was extended. And that's it. Anything else, guys?
Thank you.
All right, so we'll wrap this up. Please reach out to us if you have anything, and good luck with the applications. And we'll hopefully see you soon in Dubai.
Good luck.
Good luck. Thanks, Puneet. Thanks for your time. Take care, guys. See you.
Go to end meeting.
Hmm?
Go to end meeting. Done. End meeting.